Oh my God, we're back again. It's not even Monday yet. What happened, Brian?
I don't know. No rest for the wicked.
So welcome back, everyone. This is another session to continue to develop a .NET library that lives on top of the RESTful APIs for OpenAI. So the people that are excited and passionate about building AI-powered solutions, they will have a simple tool that can actually enable them to create amazing applications, using this library. And the crew, Brian, Elbic, and Mabrok here. I don't know if if I've ever seen him. You must have seen him at least once in my previous stream, but Mabruk is a huge contributor to the standard community. All the French translations to the standard is actually his contributions. Go out there,
Yeah.
Elbic, drop the comment and drop the link and help me out. I gave you a moderator access. I mean, help a brother out. I can't do everything, all right? Just to do something. That's what a manager does. Just say things and then things happen. I don't know. But Mabruk is joking aside, Mabruk is a huge contributor to the standard community. He's been actually doing a lot of research behind the scenes into improving, the quality of our systems and, making sure the our library is maintainable, follows the standard, always teaching people about the standard. He even on his own dime, right, printed shirts that says the
That's
standard on it, which I thought pretty neat. We should
yeah.
we should come up with a logo at some point in time. Go ahead, Brian. What do you got? You're on mute.
I was just thinking, where's mine?
Where's yours? Exactly. Where's yours? That's people. So we need to find a logo for the standard first.
Yep.
Ideally, the standard logo was supposed to be a circle, a triangle, and a square. And then, and that was it since the beginning, like since like 2019. And then this TV show or Netflix show called The Squid Games came out and they took it away. They took away my logo. That's literally what they were. Do you know what these means to me? Iteration, sequencing, and selection. That's what this really means. And that was supposed to be the logo for the same, but I can't publish it now. I'll be like, oh my God, what is he planning? What is he planning? Is he gonna start eliminating engineers? You know? So anyway, going back to this session, good morning, Labhav Sharma. Good morning to you. And what we're doing today, so the last thing, the last night session was basically around, basically kind of getting the things end to end, right? And then Brian Parker worked super hard to kind of fix the restful sense to ignore, the null values. So when you don't want null values to come into your object, you can actually just, turn on that knob and basically say, hey, this is, ignore null values. I don't want to add in all the other values so the API would actually correspond to it. And let's just see what he does. Brian, do you want to create the pull request that kind of incorporates RESTful sense and give us a demo?
Yeah, sure.
If you want, I could do it, but I don't want to take your credit, brother. You did the work there.
No worries. I just got to share my screen.
Do it.
Now, I've got an outstanding push here, but that's only a minor thing. It's really nothing. It's just an update to the git ignore because I've added it because she passed that key to me, and
Yes.
yeah, so I just created another file, so I had to put a new file into the ignore.
Mhm.
So I'll just carry that forward into a new branch. First, I should check to make sure I got everything. Hey.
I hope so. I only just updated the documentation, so for
Oh,
anyone that's following this repo, you'll see a lot of updates around the documentation. And Elbic, before you raise the question, say, hey, how come you picked up a logo? I've been looking for a logo. This is a temporary logo, but when you're ready, we'll put whatever logos out there. That's not a
yep.
problem at all. Okay. Uh,
What do you want to call these? A minor
this
fix?
this this would be a minor fix. Yeah, a minor fix. because it doesn't really break things, but it's an inconvenience, annoyance, basically. Let's do it. I don't even know, like we might need to do another session tomorrow because, just explaining what Steph did with his Wiremock is gonna be quite a bit. Like writing it is a minute, explaining it is about 30 minutes, just to kind of get people to wrap their minds around what we're really doing. Anyway, let's go. So you're updating this. So this release has the ignore nulls, which will make it a lot easier for us to pass in a completion object without having to fill in every single piece of information. That's fantastic. All right.
Excuse me for coughing.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay, so really we only have to update the broker whether we make the broker call.
Let's do it.
So where was that, my friend? We were only using this one here.
We're on the post content. Yeah, that guy.
Yep. So now
So
we've
it,
got a
it
new.
looks like it's time to scope this guy because it's way over 120. So open a scope for this method, please, Brian, and then do a return.
Yeah.
Do it. So Mabruk, it's really early in Germany. Is it like 7 in the morning or
Yeah.
something?
6.
6 in the morning. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Waiting
Okay,
for your session.
I feel like this session is a good thing because now we're gonna keep you up to date with morning prayers and Ramadan is
Yep.
coming, so I'm gonna keep you up to. This has been my plot all along. That's how we're gonna get this brother to. There it is. Ignore nulls. True. Nice. So that's the trick, right?
Yep.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And we don't need it all the time. Like you don't need it with the gets. You don't need it with, maybe with the puts. Yeah, you might need that, but you don't need it with, deletes. I don't see a need for it because you're just shipping in an ID and you're just deleting. So it looks like it's very useful in these terms. Go ahead, Brian. You want to say something?
Okay, so that's basically it. It's done. I can spin up a little test like you did yesterday, but I don't see the point.
Okay.
We'll catch this in the integration test now. So
Exactly. We'll
yep.
we'll capture that guy in the integration test very, very shortly.
Yep.
But before the integration test is the easy one, right? So anyway, just create this pull request and then we'll talk about that. The integration test is the easy one. We're really just basically what we did yesterday is an integration test, but we just need to automate it, right? We need to write it in a proper, format and just get it out there. Um, the acceptance test where things get, a little bit more interesting, and I need to kind of explain the theory and then see, Elbic, do you want to do the acceptance test? I'll help you out.
All right, but I need help.
You need help? I'll do it this time, right?
All right.
I'll do it this time, and then next time, yeah, like we're gonna do a lot of this. The beautiful thing about this is that we're gonna do a lot of these consistent patterns into developing these tests. So it's gonna be pretty much it's standardized, follow the same pattern, right? And then what's more beautiful about this is that the project itself becomes. I don't think we have an issue for this project, do we?
I'm not sure. I was going to ask that.
Create one real quick. So scroll up and open a thing in a new tab. I
Okay.
was gonna tell Elbic to create one, but
I was actually creating one.
you're creating one.
Okay.
Okay, go
I'll
go
leave it.
ahead. Go ahead. Just give us the number.
All right.
I love this community. People are just. You don't have to tell anyone anything. People are just going. You know what I mean? That's fantastic.
Did I lose that
Better.
pull request?
70.
Oh, it's easy. You can open it back up again. It should give you like 70.
70, yes.
Wow, we created 70 issues. Dude, we just
Plus
started this
others.
thing.
Mhm.
Yikes. Okay, so if you look for minor fix, no, just look for, no. The hash comes after closes, and make sure the C is uppercase. I know
Okay.
they're finicky about their.
I see. Yep. So just 70.
70. That's it.
Yeah. It didn't identify because I guess.
But
Yeah,
the
because he
issue
wrote
here,
he wrote the number. Go ahead.
Yeah.
the issue name is medium fix here.
Oh, minor fix. Let me fix that real
Yeah,
quick.
fix that. And I'll take a look at it from this side. Brian, I'm taking your screen now. Okay.
Yep.
And of course, thank you for your work on this. This is really, I know you've put a lot of hours on both things, the enum, to get that, and I know you put some time also in this one. So I'm very grateful for this kind of community. Usually, and just so you guys understand what happens, when a software engineer is trying to develop a library, you know, it can be such a lonely job. It can be such a boring, lonely job. Like you're trying to develop a library. I see this everywhere. You can see the track of how I can see a developer's entire life through their commit history, right? Just to see how they developed this library, their ups and downs. They got frustrated, so they just pushed a whip, and the whip is literally in the master branch, and then they came back and they fixed it. So it's like archaeology, like you're seeing how things work. And one of the things I noticed is that there isn't really a kind of playbook out there that tells software engineers, hey, here's how you can develop this library with a community together with a bunch of people, right? And that's one of the goals of having a standard community in the first place, is that why should I have all the fun when I can just tell people what to do and I can just sit here and take all the credit? That's much more fun. No, but in all honesty, in all seriousness, it's a lot more fun when you're kind of having multiple people kind of giving you their input. Like, check this out. Brian, how many times did we have to adjust our roadmap just because of just the comments, not even the people that are live in the session? That's a whole, another ball of wax. But the people that are leaving comments in the comment section, we kept going like this until we got to a point, and it's still going. Like, if you guys look at some of the issues that are open in here, this whole HTTP factory and the engagement from the engineers. Look, someone took the time to put all these notes in and then back again to share feedback and to say here's what we can. Then Brian came in and said, okay, actually this is a legitimate concern and we need to take care of this, right? And look at all these. I honestly can't believe that we already have like 70 issues. That's insane. um, but then also all the other things that we've been doing, right? All the prompts, the little things that we're catching. Someone out there, caught a duplicate package. We copy pasta from somewhere. So people are literally looking at every single line of code, even in your CS proj. Like who on earth would catch that you have duplicate package reference? Because you'll never see that in the project. Like nothing in Visual Studio will tell you, hey, you have duplicate references. It doesn't care. So someone out there, and Alan, well, he called himself Alan Turing. His name is Kumar Singh. Yeah. He actually caught it. He actually saw the problem and he solved it. And I'm really, really grateful for that. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, Brian, your stuff is good to go, sir. I'm gonna merge this in. And then I think it's time for us to start talking about acceptance tests. So listen to me very well. If you haven't watched any of these previous sessions about acceptance tests, this one is gonna change your mind a lot about a lot of things. So here's the deal. There are usually three types of testing. There's unit tests, acceptance tests, and integration tests. And so far, you've been seeing us doing unit tests. Unit test is like under the magnifier. It focuses on the business logic and all the edge cases, all the possible things that could happen, including, the dependency failing, an exception is thrown. If you have an if statement, automatically know that you're going to have two test cases, all of that, right? That's just called acceptance test. According to the standard, if we can break things into brokers, and services and exposers. So here's your brokers, and here's your services, and here's your exposers or exposure layer. Your unit test only cares about your services. It mocks this guy and it doesn't have access to this guy, so it doesn't care. Okay, however, so I'm gonna put like a little circle around this and just say this is here your acceptance test. This is what your acceptances care about. Okay, so this is my unit test right here. I'm just gonna type unit test just for people to see tests. So unit test only focuses on your business logic. It doesn't care about anything else, and it shouldn't. Okay. And what makes these guys very interesting is that they literally go through every single possibility. I see some people, and I will talk about this in a bit, but let's jump into the next one, acceptance tests. Acceptance tests will do something else. Acceptance tests will actually test all these three. But if you have a dependency out here, it will go ahead and mock it. So the mocked dependency, I'm just going to mark it in red like that. Right, so this here is a mocked dependency. Mocked external dependency. In here, the broker is the only one that gets mocked. In the acceptance tests, we're only mocking the dependency. So for instance, if you have a system or an API endpoint or a library or a web application, whatever the case may be, and it's talking to an external API, you mock the dependency outside of your brokers. Something that software engineers originally called it packed, the packed standard, which is basically saying pretend that your dependency is there even though it's not. The last one, which is I hope we get to today, is the integration test, right? The integration test is to basically go and say, here's integrations, integration tests. And what integration tests does, it runs a lot less frequently. So this one, imagine if this one has like 20 tests, this one will have 4. And then this one will have just 1. And the integration test is saying, I just want to know that this is talking to this, and not talking to this. That's it. If your exposure layer has 4 endpoints, your acceptance test will make 4 calls. If your integration test has 4 endpoints, it's just going to call one of them that makes sure that it talks to the outside source. This one is very expensive, so it runs only when you're ready to release a new version of your library. It doesn't run every time. Okay, because it's expensive. It's gonna, if your API costs you, per call, it's very, very expensive. Some companies do something really cool. They go and spin up a production version of their API, and then they spin up a demo version of their API specifically dedicated for these kind of tests. OpenAI doesn't have that today. Okay, so what we're going to be working on today is building first the acceptance test. And the acceptance test will require something called Wiremock. Wiremock is a thing that's going to pretend that there is an actual API sitting behind the scene. And let's see together how we're going to go through this. So here's OpenAI. Here's my OpenAI in here. Because it's a library, it's a lot different when it comes to the way it gets tested than anything else. So let's just see how we're going to do this here. It's going to look a lot similar to your integration test. The only difference is that it's not really calling a real endpoint. It's calling a phantom endpoint. So okay, under acceptance here, I'm just going to create a new folder. There's a new folder here.
You will work in this branch?
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. See, we need a German guy to come tell us. Mabruk speaks German, Arabic, French, English. What else? Just the 4?
German Sign Language.
And German Sign Language, my man. And C#. Wow. You're going out there, huh? Let's do this.
Indonesian. Yeah.
Yeah, see, Muhammad Rikas says, yes, we got sandbox configuration for testing and production configuration for real testing. That's exactly, usually some good API providers, or ones that have been around for long, so they had to go through all of this. They give you that sandbox. They say, hey, spin up a testing version. You'll see that a lot with, I think Twilio will give you that. There's a lot of places that will give you that, but it also costs them hosting and stuff. So it comes with its own, it depends on how much customers and how much engineering investment you're going to do. All right, let's create a new branch to users, Hassan Habib /acceptance /completion /prompt. Okay, so we put the type of the work and then the entity and then the actual action. This is also standardized. This is also very specific. Elbic, put in the chat a link to the standard team where it talks about these specific things and all that. Okay, and under acceptance test, I'm just gonna create a new folder in here, right? I'm gonna call it clients, and under clients, I'm just gonna create completions. And under completions, I'm gonna create a completion client tests. See, it's targeting the entry point, which is the equivalent of an AI, an API. Okay, so let me add in copyrights in here, and let me partialize this guy in here. Okay, and then we want to basically create a private read-only OpenAI client. That's my client right here. Come on. Okay, fine. It doesn't want to pull it for me.
Maybe
Usually,
you need a reference.
yeah, usually when I do control period, it'll go and pull the project for me. But sometimes it just wants to see if I'm still awake. Okay, so there's that guy. Now here's where it gets crazy, right? We're supposed to call an API endpoint, right? So if I go and create my OpenAI configuration, so this is API configurations like this. I'm supposed to put a URL in here, and I'm supposed to put an API key in here. But because this is not a real API, it's a phantom API. It doesn't even matter, and we will see how that goes in a second, right? But we also still want to make sure that you're actually passing the key that the user is passing to you, right? So we're gonna verify that in a second. Okay, so now this .openai client, I'm configuring it like this. Okay, this is the whole configuration. That's one part. The second part of this where it gets interesting. I want to create a phantom server. So before all of this happen, I'm gonna go and pull in a tiny library in here called Wiremock. It's not really tiny. It has a lot of fans, and the person that created it is actually smart guy. But here, Wiremock. Wiremock.net, 8 million downloads. Can't be wrong. Sold almost as much as Bob Marley, so it's pretty good. And and let's just see what it does. Especially for niche topics like these, like anybody will listen to Bob Marley, but 8 million people think that this library works for a niche topic like this. That makes it very interesting, right? How does this library work? Let's see if I remember. So Wiremock Server, I think. Let's see here, request server. There you go. This is from memory and from a while back. So there you go. Here's my Wiremock server. And then I can initialize this Wiremock server in here, right? And how this guy gets initialized, if I remember this properly, you kind of need to do something like, don't do that. Hold on. I need to kind of call a static method in here. It says create server or something like that. Start, yeah, start server. There it is. Start. Now, what does this guy take? It takes in a port. And you need to kind of find a port that makes sense. I'll just put in my year of birth in here. Usually that's what I do, but you can always kind of, like some people kind of figured out ways to generate this randomly, because what are you going to do if the place where you're running that server is already busy? Like you don't have that option, right? Okay, because this is Wiremock server and this guy returns, I wonder if Steph put an interface for this. That would be nice. No interface. Okay, Steph, and we're gonna go and call you out on a public stream and tell people about what you did. Okay, there you go. I love that this guy is also kind of reading my mind. That's cool. So here's the server right here. This .server. There you go. So this server that we started here, we're gonna go ahead and configure this server with certain details, and these details will tell us this is when you hit that server with a particular endpoint, you're gonna return a bunch of things, that we're gonna talk about in a bit. Okay, what's the deal here? I think, you know, as far as I remember, this guy also would allow you to kind of pass in a URL. Let's see, there it is, URLs, port. So just URLs, and then we need to configure the port. Okay, we'll come back to this one in a second. Let's create the test in here. So I'm just gonna go here and say completion client tests dot prompt. Prompts. Yeah, prompts dot cs. Okay, and this is another partial class underneath this, but this time we're actually writing a test. So in here, public async task should prompt completion. Completion async, like that. Okay, what's our what's our parameters here? So here's given, when, then, right? And we need a bunch of models. We need the completion model. I need a random completion model, but I also need to have the external models. The thing about integration and acceptance tests, you have to copy the models over instead of trying to use existing models from the library. Why is that important? Can anyone tell me why is that important? Copying the models over instead of reusing the existing models that's in the library. Take a wild guess. Why do we do that?
You can catch issue when you change your business model.
Right there. If the model change and you try to run the test will fail, because if you're using the same model across the libraries, right, everything will just go fine, right? But then your client is suffering because your client it's not using the same thing, right? But if you have a client and they're using this model and they're working with it, you want to tell your client, hey, this has changed. Actually, there's something wrong with this. But then, you know what? Mabruk, if you're thinking about it, this argument can work so well with RESTful APIs, right? When people are not sharing, but this is a library. So this might not stand because they will use your models because you're using your library.
But even for your developers, for your own maintenance.
Right. What I'm trying to say is, even if we try to create our own model here, it's not going to pass through because you're not using an API. It's not going to get serialized. Right? So I guess we don't have to do that in here. But if you're building a RESTful API, you have to build your own model. You don't have a way around that. Okay, I need to generate a random thing for myself. So I need to go here and say, give me and we don't care about the serialization. Sorry, we don't care about the mapping in here because we're really just trying to say, is the client hitting the service, hitting the broker, hitting an external point and coming back? We don't care about anything else beyond that point. So let's just go ahead here and do this. I'm gonna add in the random generation library object filler in here. There's this dynamics object filler. It's like bogus, but way better, because bogus will make you define every property. This one won't. And we need to go up in here and create a random completion, right? So I'm going to go here and say, here is my private static filler, and here's a completion model. And then I'm going to go here and say, create create completion filler. Var filler equal new filler dot completion. Here's our guy. And then this filler, I don't know if we have, Brian, do we have anything of type object in our model? Do you know? I could swear I saw one in there. So if you go into completion request, do we have anything here of type objects? Not here. Is it in the completion response? Not here. Where was it then? That's weird. I could swear, man, we had a string double int string integer dictionary. I guess not. Okay, cool. I'm happy about that.
We have a string property called object. I think that's what's
Oh,
confusing.
okay then. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. then in that case, I can just fat arrow this guy. This will generate a random completion object for me. And then I want to go here and say private static completion, create random completion. And there's random completion filler dot create. We're done here. Okay, so that's my completion. So then here I'm gonna say something like this, completion, and then let's see here, and then I want my input completion. Right, so that should be the random completion that comes in, you know, from that particular server. What else do we need? We need to really make sure and compare the models that are coming in and out of that API. Remember that server that I told you about? So if I go here and say Wiremock Server, right, and then create, not client, it's need to remember.
Given.
Is it given? Thanks. And then is it post? With path, right? With path.
Using, mhm.
Right, and the path is supposed to be v1/completions.
This should be in the method itself as parameter.
In the given?
Request point create, yeah, in the given.
Okay, so in here we go and say request.
Create. Request create. Request point create.
Request create. When you say point, say period for God's sake. You're getting me, you're making me nervous. Create. Right.
Okay.
So
We've
here's our
now.
aha. So v1/completions like this, which is basically this is the relative endpoint that we're supposed to talk to. v1/completions. Right.
And you should then specify the action, get, using get, or using...
Before the path or after?
No, after.
Using post.
Post.
So in this post, we want to accept a match of the object that we're gonna post through, right? How do we do that, Mabruk?
I don't know.
We're gonna have to serialize, right? I don't know how to read that name, Elbic, but tell him or her hello to you too.
I mean, you want to mark the response or?
Yeah, I want to basically say what am I trying to say? I want to make sure that whatever I post in there, right, it matches, you know, the request that I'm going to be sending, right? So how do we do that? I'm looking at some of the tests that I've written for this, because that's the beauty of standardization, right? When you write something that follows a certain, you can always use it as a reference, you know, to go back and say, oh no, here's how we built this and all that. So here's an example here of the thing that I'm trying to do. So there is with path and then with body, and this with body here is really cool because it will allow me to kind of pass in the body that I can serialize out of the request that I want to send in. But we need that request first, right? We need to be able to go and say, what is that request that you're sending in? And I'm pretty sure Steph is going to come in and be like, hey, you know, you're doing it the hard way. You can simplify this. We'll see in a second. So if I do completion request, that new external completion request here should look like this. Here's my completion request. Right, and then whatever we passed into the completion request, why is this guy? Oh, because we didn't allow the library to expose that as well. So let's go back here. Let's make them friends, right? So I can add this in here. I can copy that guy. It won't allow me to get access to these particular models unless I give it that kind of access. So there's acceptance. Let's go back here. That guy should be happy now, I hope. There you go. Okay. And then whatever we did mapping for. So if I go back to my, because I can repeat my logic here because I'm not really unit testing this. I'm trying to just expect the model that will come out from the other side, right? So if I go into the service itself, where's the service? Right here. I should find one in here that says convert to completion. This guy right here. That guy is perfect for us. Let's go back here. Let's go into this and let's just copy that guy here. Everyone is happy? Good. Let's go back here and let me just go do this. This is my completion request. And Steph, if you're watching this and you don't have this feature already, I'd like not, instead of having the body, I'd like just to push the thing through and you do the serialization for me. That would make my life much easier. But here's the method, and I'm passing in input completion, and that guy will convert into a completion request for me. I'm pretty sure he does have something. I just don't know. Like, it gotta be with body. Yeah, I don't see it, but I know it's there. I know it's there. Okay, so this is the body. What I want to do here is that do JSON convert like this, and then serialize that object to a completion request. So this mocking, sort of mocking that I'm doing in here will never work unless the completion request that's going through matches this guy. And then once the
sorry, do we have to worry about the ignore nulls here?
Is there a, that's a good question. Is there a thing in here that tells me to ignore nulls in this here?
Yeah, well, in your serialization options, if you actually look in the broker in the converter, you'll see what I'm doing. Sorry, that's yeah.
Is
Sorry,
that
in your
RESTful sense?
in your RESTful sense, yes.
Okay, let's take a look. Let's see what you did there. Let's go over there. Brian, why don't you help a brother out and tell me while we're talking? What do I need to do here? New format settings? Is that what it is?
Sorry, my friend, I just can't remember off the top of my head. I'll just open it up.
Oh, okay. That's it. I got it. Let's let's go back there and get it out. So here's RESTful sense.
You would think I'd remember, seeing I was only working on it a few hours ago.
Shut. I didn't know what to tell you. Okay, let's see here. So what did you do, my dear friend? You basically went and said stream, that's the stream. Okay, all of this is okay. That's just you're utilizing string content, media type, serialize. I don't see ignore yet. I think it's still somewhere at the bottom here. There's ignore nulls in here.
Yep.
You're taking these ignore nulls and what's, no, this is still utilization.
Yep.
In here. So serialization settings, there it is. Great. I love it. Let's go back here. So if I do this, would my world be a better place? We're gonna clean it up in a second. I don't like all of this, but bear with me. So this here, I'm gonna put all this in a little variable. Ignore nulls.
Maybe would you like to write this in new method?
Probably. Hang in there. Let's just get it to work, and then we'll go nuts. We'll go nuts together. I promise. And well, since this is just one property, we should probably do ignore. So this is going to be JSON serialization settings dot default value handling, and then you do the rest of that. So this would be the name of this, and we don't need these anymore, and that's much better. Okay, and then I'm gonna pass that guy in there. Okay.
One
So
other One other concern, what about the application JSON versus the application?
Oh, we'll do that in a second. We'll do that in a second. I think there is with path and then with headers. There you go. Right, and in the header you can go and say, so this guy takes a value. This guy needs a. Let's hold on this for a second because we will get it there. You guys just just hang in there, okay? And then it should, after all this, it should do a response, right, Mabruk?
Yeah, respond with.
So this should be outside of the given area.
Yeah.
There you go. Respond with. Right? And this guy should have response create, right?
Yep.
Here's response.create. And I just want the body. So with body. And here it is. Look. With body as JSON. Well, bro, why didn't you do this for the request as well? Come on, Steph, I mean, again, okay, so with body as JSON, and what I want to do is that create a random external completion response, right? Since we generated this completion anyway, I don't really care. I just want it to come back the way we generated it. So external completion response is completion response right here. And then we can steal this guy too. Let's go here and say, except this way it's going to be the other way around because I want to be able to match the response that comes back. Okay, I got it. Let's just create a random response first. So here's another filler, private static filler, external completion response, create completion response filler. So this is new filler for completion response. And then in here, I'm going to go and say private static external completion response. Right, create random external completion response. Like this. And this is create completion response filler.create. Okay, are we over? No, this is all 94. Good. Let's go back to this test in here. And I'm going to go here and say create a random completion response. And this response is what I can throw right here. And this guy should just know what to do with it. I'll even put a breakpoint here and I'll show you that this crazy guy is basically allowing us to, and I know why the URL wasn't happening in there because it's always going to be localhost 1985. So that's why this is happening. Right? Okay.
You can also specify the status code if you want.
The status with status?
With, yeah, status code.
So HTTP status code dot, what do they return? Okay. We'll find out. It makes you wonder about all these things, huh? It's like every test makes you think differently about which aspect of your system are you trying to kind of test and all that, which is great. This is all great. Okay, so that means that I can, after all of this, I can come down here and say completion, expected completion. And this expected completion is a deep clone of this guy. Because what's going to happen is that this expected completion dot response will require convert to a completion response, which I need to take from this completion response, external completion response. I can go back here and steal that. That's okay. If I go back in here. Oh, did you convert the whole thing? Okay, so external completion. No. It takes the completion and just adds on top of it. No, we're good. Sorry, Brian. I judged you there for a second. For a half second there, I was like, it's not what I want. All right, there you go. So if I go back here into my solution, it should basically take the two parameters, right? It should take the completion, the input completion, and it should take the external completion response or completion response. What did we call this method? Convert to completion. Cool. There you go. Okay, so expected completion now is what we expect this API endpoint to give us back. Okay, so we have all this in hand. Now, what I want to do here is that I want to pass in that URL, this partial completion test. What is this guy complaining about? Must be public. Sure, let's do that. It doesn't matter to us because, you know, it's just a test. So this also will be public. But I just want to know it's still complaining about something. Partial declaration of completion client test have conflicting accessibility modifiers. For what? It should go away. Yeah, it's done. So, okay, in here, I need to go and say HTTP localhost 1985. Because that's the call that this guy is going to be sending. And then we'll come to this API key in a second. Elbic, are you still there? Falling asleep.
No, I'm just sitting there amazed.
It's okay. All right. Okay. So this is completion, actual completion. Await this dot OpenAI Client dot completions dot prompt completion async, and here's my input completion. Now what we expect is that this actual completion should be equivalent to expected completion. I don't know if this server has a verify. Is it validate? Is that what he called it? No. I don't know if it has a verify in it, but it could use a verify. But what we know for certain is that if this doesn't hit, this guy's not going to come through. Let's test it. Let's try it out. Shall we? Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't expect it to run the first time, but we'll see. Like in theory, this makes sense, but does it? I don't know. Look, it just popped up. Hey, do you want to allow network access and stuff like that? If you see that pop up when you run your acceptance test, don't freak out. It's just the server working this way. As far as I remember, hold on. So this guy here is basically saying, yeah, see, the object is not registered. This is it. This is what I was talking about. So there's something in there that's generating a CreateRandom Completion. Ah, see, something in there in the completion that has object in it. I just don't know what it is. And I remember going and saying on type object ignore.
Well, says your array should be initialized and
Set up
your
on type object ignore it like this, and then return filler. So at least the error is not even like, yeah, that's an easy error. We can fix that. Let's run this and see again.
I guess that is a response from.
Mm.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So is this coming from a different place this time? Yeah, create random. Yeah.
Response.
Same thing. So I need this guy here. See, when you put the fillers in one place and you know where things are, life is so much easier. What is it? Tell me. Here we go. Let's run this guy. Okay. Now what do we have? Okay, there it is. It says status, no matching, mapping found. No, not found completion. So it returned nothing. So fix errors and try again. So look at the exception. It tells you not found completion. We need to handle also URL not found because this guy's still returning a body. but it's basically saying status no matching mapping found. And I think the reason for that, if I got burned by this library enough, is that you need to do this slash as well, I think. If I remember this correctly, we'll see.
Yeah, I was going to suggest a slash there or in the base URL, at the end of the base URL.
Here's a pass. Here's a pass for you. We got it. That's an acceptance test. That guy basically says that if you touch your broker, let me just show you how this test will fail. That guy says if you touch your broker and you do something like this in here, and you go call that test again, this guy will fail. Be like, you called this endpoint, but your library is not calling that endpoint. So that covers up the end-to-end, the whole thing. But that's still not enough. Why is that? We need to verify that we pass the key and the organization ID. Right? How do we do that? Let's do it together. Let's go back into this guy. Unlike unit tests, is it completions, right? Unlike unit tests, there is no fail pass in acceptance tests. It's just pass, because the whole system is already developed and you're looking on the outside and you're trying to see if things are actually supposed to work the way you're supposed to. Of course, thanks to people like Steph, we get to have really fun stuff like that. I don't know why this expected completion is grayed out in here. That's weird. It shouldn't be, because we're using it all over the place. But we're also, I wish there was a way that I can just verify that, because this doesn't guarantee that the service have done something. Well, that's why unit tests are there. The service can't do anything funny because unit tests are already covering that aspect of it. Now, here's what I want to do though. I want to verify that with headers, and this header here takes a func dictionary. Oh my lord, what is that? Hold on. Can I just do
name and the key is the header name and
can I just do
string array?
name? Hold on. Can I just do this? Name. Wait, can I do this? Name and key. And can I just do new? Nope. Doesn't like it. It wants a name and a pattern. No, there's multiple ways we can do this. Elbic or Mabruk, find me an example for this, because I didn't use this library this way before. Help a
Looks like
brother out.
it looks like it wants you to initialize the dictionary.
Is that what it wants?
Mhm.
Fine. String, right? And then you pass something like this, and then like this, and then you go and do this.
The value should be string array.
String array.
Yeah.
But I still need to kind of define the header to be, it's not a schema, it's a pattern, right? Let's try it this way. It's authorization, right? Like this. And I'm gonna add a random key in here, like XYZ. Okay? And then I'm gonna go back into my client, and I'm gonna define the key as XYZ, like that. So this is basically verifying that unless this value is also being passed this way, you can't continue. Let's run our test and see.
Oh, I
So
like it.
did this guy fail? Yeah, it says not found. I can't find. So that's not it. I need someone, one of you, to let me just kind of revert this to a successful state, just to make sure that it's not this one change that we made. And then I need someone to find an example. What you can do on GitHub is to basically look for yeah, so this is functional. All right, I'll do it together. Let's go up in here and let's find Wiremock.NET with header.
I guess you need to add a mirror. Wait.
Oh yeah, is that what I need?
Yep.
That's right. That's right. That's a good catch. Oh my God. That's a great catch.
I've
Mirror
added the
and write your key.
So if I go here, I have to go and say bearer like
Yeah,
this.
exactly. Try it out.
Let's
Okay.
try it. I think it passed.
Fast, yeah. Amazing.
Crazy business. So, so that means we need a couple of things. We need to randomly generate this value. So nobody goes and hard codes the key in there. Because anybody can hard code the key. So this has to be randomly generated to verify that we're truly actually the key that is being passed in is the key that goes through. That's
So
insane.
it
Let's
should
go
be
here.
also in your configuration random then.
Yeah, private read-only string random API
Yep.
key. Oh, we're not done yet. Careful, Andy. We're gonna get there, but we're not done yet. So random API key in here. And I want to initialize this guy as well. So this random API can get random string. And then I need to private static string get random. Great. Well, not close. So new mnemonic string dot give. It's trying, right? It's like a little child that you're showing them stuff. Be like, oh, I saw you do it this way, so I'm just gonna do it too. But it's not exactly there. Okay, so this would be something like this then.
Nope.
This dot random API key. Let's try it again.
Wow.
Oh, we're testing the hell out of this. You know, we're writing this like our lives depend on it, you know, because
Crazy.
you don't know who's gonna like someone out there is gonna just go ahead and do something crazy with this library. And I don't want this on my conscience, right? So random API key, we already passed that in there. Why didn't it work this time? Let's verify.
It's
So
it's maybe an empty string.
an empty
Well,
string?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, it's a good problem to solve. An easy one too. So if I go here and do this, and then I go to my test, see, we're looking for trouble. Like the thing is working. I could just call it a day and run away, but where's the fun in that, you know? Yeah, so the random key that's coming in is MAVURUF. Cool. And that's what we passed in there, so that's great. And then I want to go up in here and make sure that we have the same thing. So I'm just gonna run this all the way here. So this is bearer random key. So the key is here, right? If I run all the way, it fails. Why is that? Yeah, it says you're not matching.
Does it have a return character?
No. It was just like 3 or 4 characters.
Is it because we're missing the other header values?
If I hard code this in here, if I say XYZ like this,
Sure.
It passes.
right? And I go here and put it as this one good mystery to solve, right? So, and I go here and say XYZ like this should pass.
Can we try something, please?
Yeah, tell me.
Can you go to get random string?
Oh, wait. This one failed too.
Oh.
So we missed something. What did I change? I must have changed something. Hold on. Bearer XYZ, yeah. And if I go back here, see, that's the craziness of programming, right? Like you do something just a second ago. Man, that's crazy. So XYZ, just like that, right? And If I go back into my tests and run, if it goes green, I'm going to be very concerned.
No.
So it failed. Okay, good. We missed something. Did I miss something in here?
No.
Then why it's not working? It just worked a second ago, right? Sometimes this library, the server bugs out. Like it has some bugs. So if I change this to 186, it's because we have to destroy the server. That's right. Like you literally have to go and say, resolve that server or destroy that server. Like completely shut it down, right?
I,
So the way we solved this in the past is by going and saying at the very bottom of here, go ahead and dispose that server. Because if it's still running, it's not going to let you do anything. Okay, so let's just see. I changed it to 186. So 1986. Let's run this.
I have a question here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Will
API
this
configuration.
Oh,
will
did I
this
not change API configuration?
Mhm.
Huh.
If this will not call really the API, right?
Yeah, the integration test will. This won't.
So how he knows that authorization should have beer, and how
It,
he validates this?
yeah. We,
Shouldn't know.
we are proposing this validation. We're the ones saying it should have that, right?
Yeah, I mean, but how?
It will look at
How this library tests it? How it know?
like how Wiremock works.
No. I mean, here we have beer XYZ.
Yeah.
Our API key is XYZ. So this validation, if the word beer exists, should be done in the dependency, in the library, in the API itself.
No,
Not
but
here.
we're verifying that our broker is sending the right headers
So
with the right value.
you are writing the okay, I see. So you're doing this also in the broker, right?
Mm.
I did not check this. Okay, I got it.
You got a service exception that could not be made because target machine actively refused it. Ah,
I posted the
All
relevant
right.
code in the
Yep.
private chat, Mabruk.
Yep, I got it. Mhm.
right. So okay, if I hide this away just to see if the server is running at all, and I run this, this guy should technically pass. It says the target machine actively refused it. Yeah, there's something about this dispose. Let me try this again. Run. Come on.
Mhm.
What is this? Yeah, it doesn't like the sport. 180? Nope. Uh, the connection could not be made because the target machine actively refused it. This is something in Wiremock itself. I just don't remember. Is it because we didn't dispose the original? Okay, let me do this. Let me try this. I will add this dispose in here. And I need one of you to get ready because you're going to pull that branch and try to run it and see what happens. Okay, so I'm adding this bearer here. And I'm adding it with randomization. Oh, that's right. Sergio just told me. You forgot to change the port in the URL. I love the community. 1980. That's right. So now if I go and do this, Thank you, Sergio. You're awesome. Appreciate it. This could be, yeah, that passes. Okay, good.
And
Now,
somewhere you need to also call server point stop.
yes, so
This is a
private,
written
right.
Mhm.
So string, API key, right? And I need to pass this API key in here. So this dot, excuse me, this dot API key. And then I need to go up in here and say, this dot API key equal get random, create random string, right? And then I need to implement this one more time. Private static string get create random string, new mnemonic string dot get value. And then if I go back here, we should, with this kind of recycling of the server, I think we should be okay, I think. Because if you don't dispose that server, it will continue to work with the old values, the older values, which is a big problem, right? This dot API key, API key. Okay, let's do this. So now it's completely randomized. Let's see. It failed. We must be missing something.
I think this is stop method that we should call. As we called start somewhere, we need to call. Oh, you did already.
Yeah, I really did stop on
Okay.
dispose. Why is this guy tripping though? Public method dispose on this class should be marked as fact. Should be marked as fact?
Maybe you should override this. I mean, overridden. No? Yeah, maybe you need to implement iDisposable.
But you're already an object, so it should have that outside of the box, right?
Yo.
Or we could also stop the server midway. Like stop the server after the test is over, like in here. Maybe. But I know
Will you
that's
have only one test?
that's the thing. Like when I had multiple tests, we had to put that generically, right? And I also don't know if XUnit has like start and stop or something like that, but it could, right? But pretty much I'm almost certain that that's what the problem is. Almost certain. Because it always happens. Okay, so just for all intents and purposes, I'm gonna go here and say 81, and I'm gonna change that to 81 just to see if it's the API key itself or it's something else that's causing this, right? So let's just go and run this. Yeah, it passed. So unless we shut down the server, and we need to figure out a way to shut down the server, because if the test does not repeat, because I'm about to run it 1,000 times just right now, like I do the load testing. Right now we have this problem with the server doing something funny. Is it like reset?
As I told you, I guess you should implement the iDisposable, and it will work.
You think
and
so?
There, yep.
And in there we say server stop or reset.
Yep.
Okay,
The
let's do
server
this.
stop.
Server stop, right? So iDisposable. Like this.
Let's try this.
And here is this guy. So that guy created this here. And then if I go down here and say this dot server dot dispose.
Stop.
Stop, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try it. And then I'm gonna take this one from here, right?
Let's try.
We might need to change the port one more time. In fact, actually, we might need to generate the port randomly with the runs, but let's just see this one. Okay, so it spun up the server and I don't know where it is, and I have to restart my computer to make it happen. Okay, I'll change this here for now. Was 82 the one that we tried earlier? I don't think so. Let's do this. Nope, that doesn't work, dude. But this one says no matching found, so this is a good error. Because this basically here is saying if you close this and you run, let's just see. If I get a consistent success, yeah. So if I go back here and put this API key in here, this fails. So something about our mapping is not correct. Right? So if that means if I change this to XYZ, like this, and I go change this also to XYZ, that test should, by the way, I think your disposed solution works, just so you know. But now if I run this, if this passes, then this generated key, something is funky about it. I don't know what it is. No, it did not. Odd. Very, very odd.
I guess you need to refresh your header, your request header, because
I want to try. I want to try this, Mabruk. I want to go here and say wiremock server.reset.
Mhm.
I just want to try this, right? I'm gonna go here and say run this guy.
I guess this is not work.
No, it did. Look, this worked.
Oh. Yeah, because you have where do you initialize HTTP client?
Oh, all the way down in the broker.
Yeah, so you have one instance, and when you create new class, new test class, I guess the header is not reset in the no.
It's the server. It's the server itself. I think I know what Steph is doing. I think this might work. No. Why not? That's crazy. Unless this if I put a breakpoint in here and I run this in debug mode, something about writing a static value in there that's causing this to happen. And we can't call this test complete if the API key is not in good state. So what's the value of this guy? It's right there. You know what also could have happened? I think I know what happened. What could have happened is that when you run the test, it runs the constructor again. So it generates a different value than the one that you maybe have sent to the client. We could test it.
At which point? Mm-hmm.
We could
Can
test
you
it.
can you make get random string in the method itself, right? Like
Which
XYZ
method? Like in
return?
here?
No, the get random string in the constructor.
Oh, you mean in here?
Here, yep. Let this method just return XYZ.
Okay, like me doing this.
Or yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I
let's
just
do it.
want.
That's very, very curious. I don't know what it's doing. Fail.
So
It's not getting the value or
yeah.
something. It's not getting the value. I know that for sure. It's definitely not getting the value. We have another option. We could make the setup of the API client itself happen in the test itself. I don't have a problem with that. Although that I will be a little bit not super comfortable with it because I want it's like you're testing a service, really. You need the subject of the test to be living in your constructor. So unless something here happens that makes that API key doesn't come through, I have no idea why it's doing that. Could it be comparing, you know what it is? It could be comparing references, but this is just a primitive value. It's not creating a whole new object or anything like that.
Crazy.
Right? While we're thinking about this, I want to go here. So I'm going to do this in here. We can't merge this until this is fixed. So we need to kind of dig into this. But I also want to add in organization ID in here. So I'm going to say ABC like that. And this ABC needs to be, I think, Brian, you posted the link for that one. Let me just type XYZ in here. And then I think the header that we're passing for organization ID is,
OpenAI organization.
yeah, that guy. So
Yeah.
that's ABC. So if I run this and it passes, I don't know what to tell you. So what's the difference? I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. There's something really weird going on, but I don't know what the answer is to that. But technically, technically our work here is done. We're basically, we created an acceptance test that tests end to end, right? Now it's these little technicalities that can get in the way, and I honestly have no idea. Maybe the header doesn't have an ability to access a private class member. Is this Wiremock server, built in a way? I don't know. Probably Steph can help us out with that, when he watches this session, but I absolutely have no idea. Should we give it another go for all kicks? So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this guy. I'm gonna pass this guy all the way down to, so this is not read-only anymore. See, that's why it gets a little finicky and weird, right? And I'm gonna go up in here and do this. Okay. And then I'm gonna go here and say string random API key. Get random or create random string. And then I'm gonna take this random API key and I'm gonna put it right here. And the same API key, I'm gonna put it right here. If this fails, I honestly have no idea what to tell you.
Maybe the concatenation. I don't know.
The concatenation.
Yeah. Maybe.
It
I
could,
don't
it
know.
could, you know what? We shouldn't kind of, phase out any potential fixes. Look, this works.
Yeah.
So why does this work, but putting it in the constructor doesn't? I have no idea, man. I like that it catches my misspelling though. That's sweet. There you go. So that means I can also go and say string random organization ID equal create random string, and I can take that organization ID and put it right here. Well, why bother doing all this? I can just do that. Right? And I can put that in here. And this should also pass. It does not. What? So this is the organization ID.
It's like it's some sort of caching issue with the server.
It could be. If I take away the organization ID here and here, or not just at least not bother at all, and just run this, let's see what happens. No, it just went back to completely
Let me
bonkers.
see. What did you write in the dispose method?
Oh, the dispose? I just wrote server stop.
Can you add reset and then stop?
Sure. Let's do it.
Let's
Although
try that.
so that Wiremock server reset like this?
Yep. Reset and stop. Both. Let's see.
So reset first and then stop,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay, let's try it. It's obvious that it's just the Wiremock doing weird things, right? And we need to randomize the ports as well. You know, Gregory's right. This works. Does it? Let's run it. Now let's go
Nope.
crazy, right? So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna have Visual Studio run this test 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
So there is an option, just for the people who don't know this, there's an option in Visual Studio that says run
Run.
until fails. So I'm gonna right click here and I'm gonna go and say run until failure. This of course will burn my machine. Like you'll see, like, like just there you go. It just failed from the first run. Just it couldn't deal with it, right? If I run this again, if I run it again, it passes. This is super flaky and not
mm,
a good test.
mm.
So something, see, one run it passes, and then the next run it fails, and then in another run,
It's not 1-0.
no, it's flaky. It's very, very flaky. Okay, so look, I don't think this particular implementation is wrong. I just think there's some knobs that we need to turn in Wiremock that can actually solve that problem for us. Okay, I don't know what these knobs are. I don't know which part we need to turn and which part we need to keep. But what I know for certain is that we need to kind of let me do this real quick.
Can you
We need to,
push? Right?
yeah, I'm going to push this. I'm going to put this in draft because it's just something for
Yep.
people to investigate, right? I'm gonna go here and say this is API key and then private read-only string organization ID as well. Okay, so in here this is this will be organization ID, this dot organization ID, and then I'm just gonna do the same thing that you proposed, Mabruk. So this here will be Wiremock server dot reset, or maybe we should just say dispose. I don't know. And on this
Mm-hmm.
side here, I'm just gonna go here and say, like, technically that test is done. This dot API key, this dot organization ID. Okay, technically, if I run this test with a brand new port, it should just work. Like if I go and say 189.
You still have another reset in the test itself.
Yeah, let me remove that as well. That's a good point. There you go. With brand new ports, does this just work? Nope. And you know what I'm getting back is that it's saying not found completion error. It basically says this didn't match. Not that the server is not found or refused.
Mm.
It's that there's a match in here that just didn't happen. Right? What is it? What, you know, maybe we don't understand how Wiremock fully works. You know, there's some ways around it. It's just something for the team to kind of look into. Okay? So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put WIP. So this test is in WIP state. And then if we decide to pair tomorrow, kind of take a look at it tomorrow, go ahead and take a look, see how this works. We could be missing something very tiny. I know that some people do random ports, like they randomize the port, but I think the problem here is bigger than that, right? Because I think there's another issue in here that we're not fully aware of, just for the, you know, for the best kind of interest for people time and the stream and all that. So here's, I'm gonna say acceptances, right? And then post completion tests. And this is in draft mode. Play around with it. When you run this test, it's gonna pop up a window on your screen that says, hey, allow access to private networks and whatnot. Whether you accept it or deny it, it doesn't change anything, because what Steph is really doing with this library is that he's standing, you know, a server, right? And once this is posted on Twitter, I'll just at him and I'll just tell him, hey, take a look at this. Maybe you can help out. Okay, friends, do we have a deal?
Mhm.
Deal, no
Deal.
deal. But other than that, I think we're done here. Elbic, do me a favor and add copyrights to this file, the prompts.cs
All right. Mhm.
in here. And then I think the rest of these are solid. I think we have a solid test in here. We just need to figure out the library. Okay, and if we figure this out, then the last thing we would want is the integration tests. And the integration test will need to read a real key from your environment. And you're gonna need to enable that integration test. So the integration test by default is disabled. Unless you enable it, because it's gonna cost you money every time you run it. And you shouldn't be running your integration tests unless you're ready to release. Like unless you're ready to go with a new version. Because technically, like if you're writing your code right and you're putting your acceptance tests in place, your integration test is like the really final check that goes and says, okay, everything on our side is good. We just want to make sure that the remote server that we're calling that we don't own is also good before we let this out there to the world. Okay, any questions, comments, concerns? If we figured this out, we could probably release tomorrow and give everyone on Monday a beta or alpha release of OpenAI.net. I'm pretty sure NuGet is gonna bark at us, you know, because someone already took that name, but we'll see. I'll play around and see how it works. We'll make it work. Okay, friends, I appreciate you all. Thanks for the people that also were very helpful on the comment section. Gregory, Sergio, everybody. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care.